Greetings, Old World Explorers. Welcome to another Old World Exploration. Very special show I have for you today. We are going to be looking into Old World music and New World music. When I say we, I'm joined by two Stephanies. Well, let's start with Stephanie Babylon Fox. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes. Hey, I'm Stephanie, the Babylon Fox, and words matter, and that's my channel. When I get things going, it'll be talking about words. But I am a professional musician. I'm a teacher by trade, but I was originally a performer, and I have multiple degrees in music, and yeah,
You smell a rat? We're going
and
to be
I
looking into some of the old
I
composers, right?
I somehow got through my education believing every as much as I like to think I wasn't indoctrinated, and suddenly I started thinking, you know, this doesn't make any sense, like so many other things that we've looked into.
Right, yeah. Desert Rose, Steph?
Yes, I'm the other Stephanie, and I am just good friends with Babylon Fox. And I kind of went down my discovery of things not making sense with my previous job, which was in pharmaceutical sales. So I just have always been questioning the narrative since the beginning of time, and just think that music is a great way to look at things and ask some questions and go back and be like, does that really make sense?
I
Yeah,
have to credit Stephanie with she was my initial catalyst for starting to doubt things because she was constantly saying, no, actually not. And so we
so
start
she
looking into things.
she red pilled you, is that fair to say?
She did. She took me down so many rabbit holes, and then I just kept running.
Cool. Well, we're going to try to keep it coherent. There's so much to talk about with the history of music. So we're going to go back in time and start with this gentleman, George Friedrich Handel.
Yes. Yes,
Go
Mr.
ahead.
Handel. So the big thing you learn, at least as a college student, about Handel was that he was this amazingly prolific he looks prolific, doesn't he?
He does.
Look at that. He was such a prolific composer because, he needed to keep food on the table, and you always have to have a patron. And these were usually people that were, it was the courts and the kings and whoever would hire them to write music for their special occasions. So there's lots of special occasion music. And I've sung, I think, all of the coronation anthems of Handel, and I just decided I would take a look. And turns out he wrote 4 coronation masses in a month, which is
That's
hilarious.
quite an achievement, I assume.
Well, I mean, it's chorus and orchestra, and he was handwriting it all. I mean, just the actual physical. I mean, if you thought about what it would take to write words, and you have to write a 500-word paper for school or whatever,
Mhm.
he's got to write. I mean, a minimum probably for any of these masses would be like 12 lines of music, because you got your 4-part chorus, and then you've got all the instruments underneath it, right? So each one of those gets their own line, and now you're putting in your little dots and your stems and your rests, and theoretically everything has to line up at least as well enough for you to hand the music out to players so that they can play what you've written. And you wrote it in a month, so you had to get ready for the coronation.
The cool thing about Handel is he wrote his music in 432, which he has a famous one, "The Trumpet Shall Sound." But what's really cool, and when you had the church picture up about the cathedral, the frequency was so phenomenal in his pieces that music isn't more perfect than that. That is the healing frequency, which, every time I walk in these churches that are just beyond ridiculously incredible with all the organs and the sounds. I mean, you could just lay there and feel the vibrations. And I mean, his pieces were so incredibly, I can't even think of the word.
They're almost otherworldly, which is what made me think that these are not these no It's kind of like the building itself. It's kind of like the church itself. These were not put together by some yahoo that, I mean, and in some cases of the, now I can't tell you right off the top of my head what Handel's, he didn't start as young, I don't think, but I mean, he a super old, I mean, he lived to like, I don't know, 75 or something, but
I thought he was 63. Interesting number, 63.
Mm,
oh,
yeah.
was he 63? Okay, you might be right.
63.
But
Well, you say otherworldly, I say old worldly. I think this is what we've theorized on, and that's what sparked this video, is that we think that these old world compositions have been attributed to these figures, much like these old world buildings have been attributed to these phantom architects.
yes, like the idea that this Hendel guy even actually existed, to me, has now become a question. When you were a couple pictures ago, there was one that had a framework of like wood along the ceiling in a really cool pattern.
Was it the church?
It's a church, yeah. And
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, see this stuff. Okay, so I've worked in a lot of recording studios, and that is that concrete or is that wood?
This looks like some sort of stone.
Stone. Okay. Because in a lot of the recording studios will have specific shapes of of wood for the acoustic, to make the acoustic cooler, and that stuff that's on the ceiling there looks so deliberate. And I can say for certain, because I've sung in some of these buildings in Europe, and I mean, it's just crazy the way the
and look at that organ. Work. That organ is just beautiful.
Yeah, well, and coming at it from a builder's perspective too, this is the difficulty in actually constructing this out of stone, especially. These are like, you can see the seams here.
But think about how remarkable it would be. So what if the music was actually intended, you know, rather than being whatever, a coronation mass, it could have been some sort of a healing thing or whatever. But now you've got to get together with whoever designed the buildings to make sure that the piece that you're creating is going to be most well served in this space. You know, and like Stephanie was talking about the trumpet one.
Don't you think the chairs look like an afterthought?
Oh yeah,
totally. I don't think the chairs, but they're not.
I don't think the chairs were there. People laid.
No, of course not. Of course not. It's it turned into a church, right? It's basically.
Yeah, and then they just put ugly chairs in there.
When we were in Poland singing, I'm pretty sure it was Poland.
Look at all that
gold. A pillar. There was a 6 foot. It was a pillar that was like 6 foot in diameter, and it looked to be I remember looking at that thing for a long time, going, "Wow," you know, it's just so enormous, and
all the angels, all the cherubims. Oh,
yeah, this is unbelievable. Yeah, you see this a lot too. This little elevated area. This also looks to be stone as well. You can see under here the seams. So I mean, this is supposed to be the church he was baptized in, but anyway.
Oh, interesting. Well, and is this in Germany?
Let me double check here.
Yeah, it's got to be, because it's in
Halle, Germany. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's so weird because for some reason he ended up in England, and yeah, that story always didn't quite make sense to me. But so I don't know if one of the screenshots I took. So Handel and Bach would have been considered Baroque composers, right?
Let's check out Bach.
We know that the Baroque period, that's what I remember actually being told that Baroque was ugly.
Baroque
was so complicated that it was
too much. Yeah, I've heard that too. It's it was nothing to be admired. Yeah.
No, it was Baroque. It was gaudy. It was yeah. So they were both considered to be Baroque composers. Now,
he's an interesting one because he performed most of his in 465 hertz. Some of it's 432.
Well,
But
Bach was the one credited with the tempered clavier, which set us all at 440. But I think that must have been kind of far on in his life, because a lot of his music is still performed today at the lower, yeah. So it's all like a half step flat if you're singing it. That's really funny. Find a picture of Bach where he looks the same. That's
yeah. This is the organ he supposedly played, but this is his father with his hidden hand here underneath his robe.
Oh, look at that
masonry there. That's
And
interesting.
There's also signals going on with the hand gesture. You see this a lot in the old. We talked about, I think before we started recording, about a lot of these portraits, and are we looking at just placeholders, and are these just creations, right? These paintings.
These paintings.
And the messages being sent to those that are in the know, and then being sent to those that aren't in the know as well by through their ignorance, right?
Well, and well, I'll hold this off for a second, but so Bach was the one, and time frame wise, if that's when they switched up the frequencies. And I think the thing that's so interesting about all this, and I was, when you guys were talking the other night about what you talk about on the radio, it's the problem is that everything is so integrated. It is a massive scale deception. If back during maybe it was 1,000-year reign, and that's why everything was good and harmonic. When you listen to Michelle Gibson, she talks about how there was a time of people were cooperative, and you see that in the architecture, and you hear that in the music. And Bach's music makes sense. Bach is like, everything was like math. And I actually wrote a report in school on Bach borrowing from Bach. And that sort of begs the question, was there some sort of old world AI that generated music that didn't, I don't know how the story they tell us definitely doesn't make sense.
Hey, let's look at that picture. Look at the bottom. Yeah, look at that little.
This thing here?
Yes, that's hilarious.
Just a compass, and it's not a T-square, but it's.
Yeah, that couldn't be more in our faces.
Wow. I feel like messages are being sent. Are we being sent messages?
No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
This was, he supposedly tested.
Wait, and what was the it says 16 there on the one side, but it doesn't say anything else.
He tested it. He tested it in 1717, we were told. 1717, I think, was the year I was trying to get at for Handel, actually, where we spoke before we started recording as well, playing for the King George and all the rest of that. And then the Foundling Hospital, all of that stuff.
Right. Now I'm going to have to look into all that stuff, because I hadn't even thought about that. But look, let's look at that piece of music now.
Yeah, that's crazy difficult.
That's a sonata.
Okay. I wonder if I play it, if we can hear it. Shall I try? I'll try.
Sure.
Let's try. Can you hear that?
No.
I think I have a computer audio turned off, unfortunately.
But I can look at it and kind of hear it in my head, but so this is but this is Bach, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Autograph of the first movement of the first sonata for a solo violin.
So this is what I was talking about. Look at all the little black dots that one must write. So he's got to think it in his head. Mm-hmm. Then he's got to write the notes on each line. So even if you were like really good at it, mm-hmm. I mean, just looking at that gives me writer's cramp. I mean,
yeah.
And that's one page. And
well, we know he did this because it has his autograph on it. So case closed.
Well, exactly. It must be.
Or they put it on there. We don't know. Let's not.
I think that must be the point.
Come on now.
Then they said they changed all his frequencies. So like all of a sudden he was at 432, and then he switched it to this like nasty frequency that wasn't as appealing and sounds flat.
That's weird. Like I said, that's somewhere in that's somewhere in during the well the switch to 440 happened, I believe, during that well-tempered clavier thing, and I
Can you expand on that? The well-tempered clavier? I don't know anything about
well,
that.
so the whole idea is that it was tempered so that the distance between the all the pitches were, I think, in the overtone series.
Okay, so when did
Or
that
this
happen, roughly? I just
um okay, I'm looking it up. Wikipedia says it's the well-tempered clavier is a piece. It's consists of two sets of preludes and fugues in all 24 major and minor keys for keyboard.
Yeah, and they changed it to play differently on the organs as well. It went to 465, and it was referred to as a choir pitch, where the organ would play two semitones for a Baroque chamber pitch. That's why so many didn't like it. I'm just looking up what
it's
they said
interesting.
about that.
Yeah.
But it changed the frequency completely. So we went from a healing frequency to be one that was like a little more disturbing to the ear.
Yeah, just enough to put us off is what I read somewhere. It's like it's okay, so the well-tempered clavier is the piece that he wrote that is in all their fugues. And I mean, if you've ever heard a Bach prelude and fugue, it's just crazy music.
You're getting very technical for me, but that's okay.
It's well, not technical enough because I've forgotten a lot more.
Doesn't it sound like they're kind of fighting or like battling each other? It just sounds enough off.
Not in Bach. Bach stuff is. I mean, they describe his writing style as being like motoric, and it like just churns out like it came out of a machine.
Interesting, very interesting.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and I mean, if I could play you, I wonder if it's something that I play would come out on your thing.
Try it.
There is one that is pretty. One of the things that is most well known, the kids learning the piano oftentimes, well, back in the day anyway, I don't know if they do it anymore, but they would play these pieces.
They'd play Ode to Joy.
Yeah, no, but even
that's 432, I'm pretty sure.
Here, this is oh no, this is a commercial. Dang it. Okay. Let's see if I can so this guy is Glenn Gould. This is really famous.
And this is Bach?
Yep. And it gets, they're like study pieces.
Like training, almost study pieces. Is that what you mean?
So you can hear how it that's the nature of a fugue. It comes in one place, and then the same little melody comes in a little bit later, and it all overlaps. And like I said, it's mathematical. It's crazy.
Yeah.
There was a book I read a long time ago, which I wouldn't be able to tell you anything about it other than I read it, but it was called Escher, Gödel, and Bach.
Mm-hmm.
And it was comparing the art and the math and the music. Yeah, because like Bach was like Bach's music, the alleged music of Bach, was, look how much different. Is that supposed to be the same guy? I mean, look.
I think that's supposed to be him. Yeah.
Look at the guy up in the right hand corner.
This guy here.
Yeah. Is that same guy as the one two guys down?
He's just younger. He's just younger. That's all.
Oh, that's it. They look completely different. It's like, what?
They're drawings. That was before photos.
Yeah.
Right.
So they say. I don't know.
What about Mozart? Can we jump to Mozart? Or?
Yes. Well, so what I was going to say about Mozart. Watch me have forgotten. I was going to say something about Oh, yeah. So Mozart wrote in Germany. I mean, he was in Vienna, Austria, and he was in Salzburg. And that was pretty much where he was. Now, again, we're taught that it was the Italianate style because everything was coming out of Italy, right? Oh, that's what I was going to say. Mozart was and he was obsessed with that Freemasonry. To the point where he put some of it in his operas.
Strange, because he was such a young man when he died too.
Yeah, at 35. So he became. I think probably you can find that somewhere in his life that he became one, and he was really into the whole. So the Germany has all this woodsy magic stuff, and he was really into that. And I've been there.
Gibbert's house, birth house.
Yes, that's where he was born. Gilbert's house.
So this one, because he had such a short lifespan and he had such a large volume of work, in my mind, this is the one that jumps out at me first as far as being unbelievable, according to the
100%. But keep in mind, Handel was no slouch. Like I said, not only the Handel narrative is so funny because, like the buildings, he was supposed to have churned out this stuff in no time. Like, oh, you need this? I'll have it by the end of the week. At least Mozart is credited with, like, he was, for instance, he never finished the Requiem. And that's part of the whole mystique of, like, he died writing the Requiem, which is a mass for the dead. And, and they if you've ever seen Amadeus, they sort of factor in a little fiction that it was Salieri that drove him to his death and everything. But I mean, look at that picture. Come on. And the odd thing is, so there's a rule with stems. Now, maybe they didn't have that rule back then, but like when the stem goes down, it's on the left-hand side of the note. And when the stem goes up, it's on the right-hand side of the note. And a lot
wait, slow down. You're being technical again. Stems. Okay. Are we talking about the notes here? That's a stem?
So,
okay.
Yes. And in one of the pieces that I pulled up, it's supposed to be his right. Oh, I think that's one of the ones I gave you.
You send me. I have the file. I'll grab it in 1 sec here.
It had words on it. Did one of the ones that I send you have words on it?
Here they both are. So we'll take a look. The next one, maybe?
No, I think I just didn't bloody well send you the one with the words. Dang it.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's so annoying because
it says Requiem here.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Well, that is no. The other one though that I sent had English words, and it was supposed to be his writing. And Mozart never wrote in English, so I called bogus on that one. But I thought I sent it, but clearly not. That's kind of sucks. But yeah,
so that says Requiem.
Yeah, so the Requiem is a hugely dense. So what is that? The Dies Irae? Does it say? Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can sing the Requiem from memory.
Okay, let's have it.
I used to be able to.
Okay, let's have it.
Not bloody likely, but I do have.
That's the next show. That'll be the next show. So you guys want to tune into our next broadcast?
No, actually, you know what? I can sing the whole Messiah from memory too. At least I used to be able to. I shouldn't say that now, but I used to be able to set my score on the chair and sing the whole damn thing.
Wow.
Yep. I just did that with music. It's partly, I think, because of my eyesight. I have. I'm very, very farsighted, and I could opt for seeing the score or the conductor. And so my way of getting around it was I would memorize the score so that I could watch the conductor. And yeah, it was a cool little skill that I had.
You're wearing the badge of the Order of the Golden Spur here.
That's interesting.
And he's got the hand tucked away there. Is that supposed to be? That's supposed to be Mozart.
Yes, it is supposed to be. The cold hand, I call that. That's just the cold hand.
Yes, my hands are cold right now too. I should see it inside my coat. So he wrote. Well, you've heard a symphony, probably, right?
I think so.
So there's no symphony that's like less than, I mean, they're like 15 to 20 minutes long at least. So now think about those.
All the pages,
all those sheets,
all the different parts. Yeah.
And you've got to have, yes. And when you set an orchestra down, they can't all share with each other. They've got to have, so even if you were just to write the one, okay, here's the bassoon part. Now here, you lackeys, go copy this off, 6 times for the bassoons. And I know they probably say, well, the orchestras were smaller back then, but he wrote 17 masses.
And he died at 35. So did they say he wrote his first one when he was a toddler almost? Is that correct?
He wrote his first piece of music. I actually sang one of his really early, it was just a choral piece. I don't think it was like a Gloria or something. I don't remember, but it was fairly simple, but that's the same dude.
That's Mozart.
Somebody's been putting out pictures of what people would look like now. They're using the AI to.
Yes.
So this is what they'd look like nowadays if they were, and
his brother-in-law did this one.
That is so crazy.
Well, that's lovely. Looks like he's got the crazy Beethoven hair.
Yes.
And Beethoven was in 440. Most of his
okay, let's
jump over 440 megahertz, which is
why would it matter?
Go.
Yeah, which why would it matter? But they did, right? I forgot what Mozart was in. I jumped to Beethoven.
Now Beethoven. Beethoven, he's got a whole bunch of different guys that are represented by him. He's like, and they look nothing alike. You can pull up a dozen Beethovens and they all look different.
This guy looks mad as a hatter, I gotta tell you.
Well, he probably had a venereal disease too, although he died of something weird.
Let's see here.
Oh yeah, he died of we were talking about this.
He's only 56.
Yeah. Young.
Let me I'll pull up his death.
And he was actually younger than Mozart by, I don't know, 15 years or something.
They were fairly close in the time frame that they were supposed to have lived. Is that what you mean?
Beethoven and Mozart were contemporaries.
They were contemporaries, yeah, okay.
Yeah. But Beethoven was after Mozart.
Yes, Beethoven lived.
Oh yeah, he had that weird limb thing.
Swollen limbs, coughing, breathing difficulties.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, he had edema. That's he asked me what edema was. Yeah.
There he is on his deathbed.
He doesn't look like he has edema. Also, he's only 56. He looks like he's 90. What the heck?
Here's his funeral procession here. Yeah,
well, so here's the funny part. So Beethoven, he's like super uber duper popular. This is why it seems like such fiction. It's like they have to make up a story for us. Mm-hmm. They know these intimate bits of detail about these people. And look at that guy. Come on. That's supposed to be the same dude. Come on.
That's his double.
But Mozart was, for whatever reason, not popular. I mean, I don't know.
At the time of living, you mean?
No, purportedly he was buried in like a potter's field or something. He was broke when he died.
That's interesting. Because like now he would be probably the most popular. Beethoven's up there too, but Mozart, I guess Hollywood popularized him a bit with the movie and the rest of it. Although there has been a Beethoven movie.
There's a Beethoven movie. Yeah. Beethoven Lives Upstairs or something like that.
But Amadeus was critically acclaimed. It was a big Oscar movie.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But the details don't make sense. Stevie and I talked about this the other day. Like the bits and pieces of history that were given, it's like the narrative doesn't really, they only know certain things about certain things, but then they don't know how he got there. And then we know his favorite food, but we don't know this. It doesn't.
There's giant gaps. There's little, minute details about certain aspects and elaborate stories about it. It's kind of like how they know all this about, they know that this building burned down in 1056, but they don't know they don't know when the one that was built in 1880 began construction. I mean,
Yeah.
makes no
No,
sense.
I hear you. Yeah. And he went deaf. Did he go deaf? He went deaf during his life. Is that correct?
Supposedly he went, yes,
Supposedly.
and he wrote to let somebody know that he thought he was going deaf in like 1798 or something. So he was probably in his early 20s. So for most of his composing career, he was deaf for whatever reason, and that's probably explained away in some. But what if all of these, so now of course all this, and I wished that I could have found there's a big tome that they use to torture music students with, called Grout's History of Music. It's if you can get through it without any given reading without falling asleep, it's just known for its dry historical factoids. Everybody read Grout, and I think I probably got rid of it because I couldn't find it, and I was like, yeah, I don't need this. When I moved, I got rid of a lot of stuff, but it would be cool to look up in Grout and compare it to oh yeah, and I also had the Oxford Brief History. Shoot, did I get rid of all those books? It'd be cool to look those up and see what matches what's on Wiki now. But what if these, whilst the people were put away in the insane asylums and the children were put to work from in the orphanages and everything, what if they were just spewing out the fiction of where this music that we had? So in other words, they found it just like they found the buildings, some story for it. And so they made up these characters who were to have written it. But I don't know.
That makes a lot of sense. That's a beautiful church. The whole music narrative has always just baffled my mind, because
yeah, I was gonna say, yeah,
the piano pieces. I mean, I took piano when I was young, and I sit there and learn it, and yes, it would take a lot of practice for it to all come together in the different parts, and it's a lot of work. And you're telling me back then they could just all put that down on paper and it all come together? It's just like some of these beautiful.
And who's playing it? Who's playing it, and where did their training come from?
Yes, where did
every single person? There were all these,
and it was before computers, and we knew about all these parts and harmonies, and they were all performed in these beautiful churches and organs that we can't even make now. Yeah, the narrative just has a lot of holes. I mean, who wouldn't want to perform there? That's just amazing. It's incredible. Look at that picture.
Yeah, that's the Bayreuth Opera House in Germany.
It's just gorgeous.
Bayreuth.
But what I was going to say, the builders were also musicians. That's the explanation.
I guess so. They knew exactly how it would sound amazing.
Well, you know what I was thinking too? There's a lot of music people. So this is another reason why I feel like the music thing is all kind of folded into this, all this research. There are so many people who are into the whatever you would, truther community, I guess, if you call it that, who are also musicians. And I mean, you've probably heard Conspiracy Music Guru.
Just got into really big actually this week, believe it or not.
Wait, say it again.
I just got into his stuff this week.
Oh, really? Oh my gosh. I've loved that guy for a long time. And he's funny because I've actually seen him interviewed a couple of times, I think, but he talks about when he first started writing his songs, because he's British, but I think he lives in Spain, but he when he started writing them, he kind of put on a cowboy hat and did it like this, and and he said so everything that he said could be kind of tossed off as parody, because he wasn't, nothing seemed super serious. But oh my gosh, you have to listen to all his content.
He's masterful. Fabulous. He's masterful in his delivery.
fabulous. And he's
Yeah.
actually a really good singer and a good player.
Yes, he is. Yes.
But like, I think of all these other people, like now clearly the Whisper Jack guy has got. See, I smelled that one before I even had watched his content.
Yeah.
And I said that to you. I said I suspect he's kind of a music-y actor guy. Still don't know that much about him, but there are a lot of people that seem to have the music thing. Do you know? Are you familiar with Owen Benjamin?
Yeah, I know Owen Benjamin. He plays the piano.
Yeah, he plays the piano and he writes stuff. He's funny. He was a actor, comedian guy who was rejected from Hollywood, so he decided to go out and raise his kids on a.
Yes, yes, but
that is beautiful.
this is the same place, the Bayreuth Opera House. Yeah.
It just looks completely. It looks like heaven.
Yeah, this is a stunner for sure. But I think there's something about music and being able to. I don't know. You tap into some sort of frequency, some sort of awareness when you get into playing music, and that probably is why we're able to see past some of the veil of deception, if you're into music. That being said, we did talk about modern music and what may be going on with that as well. Do you want to get into that a little bit?
Yeah, I think people who understand music, make music, appreciate music, might be, if I can use a woo-woo phrase, vibrating at a higher level or frequency or whatever. But I feel like I told you I want to talk about school, but I won't keep it at school. But my newest frenzy is this John Taylor Gatto guy.
Big fan. I'm a big fan of Gatto.
I'm just chomping down on all his books and watching every video I can find. But he talked about how they would. I actually want to start a crusade to get people to stop calling it homeschooling, because he brought to my attention the fact that schooling is it's not really what we want to do, and schooling has nothing to do with education, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he said when the whole idea of homework, and I actually sent my daughter to a middle school that was Lehman. He's a book author, and he started a school, and he believed that children should be allowed to play, so they didn't give homework.
Mm-hmm.
And but Gatto says that the reason why they instituted the homework was to make sure that the parents weren't teaching the kids anything that was, outside of the indoctrination, that they wanted to fill up every minute of the. So they were taking over. They were controlling them even in their home environment. And I feel like the music thing, with all the push, specifically since probably the 60s, I think that the evil ones got a hold of the power of music, mm-hmm. and started to use it to control people in kind of
like Beatlemania. Beatlemania comes to mind.
Beatlemania.
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely, the music. And what's really interesting, though, in education, they've really taken it away from the public schools. It's like they don't want you to do anything with music in school anymore. And why is that? Because kids who are educated in music, they do vibrate at a higher frequency.
And they do better in their other subjects. I mean, that's actually been proven.
They are actually doing better in math. They're using a different part of their brain, which I think is done on purpose, right? They do not want our children to critically think anymore, which is really sad, because music, when you sit there and you have to practice, and you are taking a music class and you're taking an instrument, they've taken the love of music away from children for the whole time I was educated. Toward the end, it was starting to go away. They're purposely not funding music.
Yeah. Well, we need to mention the technological devices as well as taking away children's desire to pick up an instrument and learn and put the time in to learn. There's no patience for going through that phase of not being good at something until you get good at something, I think
And
the
they could just
technological devices are a part of that.
they could just Spotify any song they want to hear, and then that gives them the fact that they've got their music in their hands all the time. That gives those who promote the quote unquote music, the popular music that they're cramming down everybody's throats these days.
Mhm.
It gives them the control to get
Yeah, their message is being
Well,
is being
right,
pumped
broadcast.
everywhere, right?
Yeah, and why do they purposely play certain songs over and over again on Spotify and music? They
it's
just
really disgusting. I mean,
yeah, they are disgusting.
the
Some of
lyrics of the I just think my mother would be just she'd be freaking out, man. Well, we were never allowed. So my mother was cray, so we weren't allowed to listen to popular music. And my dad used to listen to it on his own in his van when he'd be driving around. He'd be listening to pop music, and he'd come in humming a tune, and my mom would get all pissed off because she only wanted him to listen to classical music.
Well,
But
they've controlled all aspects of music. I mean, not just pop. They've controlled Christian music. I mean, think of it. Christian music now that's played at churches is not really Christian music. It sounds
my
just
friend calls it 7-Eleven music.
Yeah.
Seven phrases repeated 11 times.
Interesting. That's interesting.
It's not super
it's not the hymnal of the past.
intellectual or
it's very repeated. It's very, very similar to the pop music that's put out. I mean, really, I mean, hymnals are a thing of the past, which is interesting. I mean, that's a whole other subject. I mean, we should go down the hymnal lane because
you want to tell me about that? Go ahead. Go down that lane.
Well, it was raining and the hymnals are still sitting in the back of my van. I wanted to get out the hymnals and look at how they had.
Wait, let me stop you for a second. What's a hymnal?
Like at church. Like
I hate to sound ignorant, but
the songbook that you sing.
It's a songbook.
The hymn. Yes, I remember singing the hymns, and I just wanted to make sure.
And there's a book in church that you open up and the hymns are in there. And this lady who makes these wreaths out of hymnal pages because they keep dumping. Well, now they're dumping most of them because everything's like just up on a screen. They put the lyrics up there and nobody even reads the music anymore. But she gave me all these. She didn't give them to me, but she let me borrow these hymnals so that I could research. So they're from 1910 and backwards. Some of them don't even have dates on it, but they're really old. And so I was super excited. I was like, oh, old hymnals. And so she was thrilled that I was geeking out with her on old hymnals, but I wanted to see. So I was looking at, that's the other thing. I was looking at
It Is Well With My Soul. That's where we started talking about.
Yes, there's a whole story about that. There are dates in the, like I said, everything crosses over each other. So there are different versions of the church that were happening and everything. So I worked for many years in the Lutheran church and the Methodist church is supposed to be the dude Charles Wesley and but when you look at the dates on a lot of the hymnals, the hymns, the date that they were composed and the dates of the words, and then in the Lutheran hymn pulls from all these Bach chorales. So Bach was supposed to have written them, and certainly a lot of the chorale music you hear in his other music. So that's what I was saying, that I wrote a paper on Bach borrowing from Bach, because all of his stuff kind of was regenerated through it does seem like it was put out by one person, but the vast quantity of output doesn't seem like it could have been put out by one person, at least not by hand, not the way they tell us.
Yeah, we know there's something wrong with the chronology, right? It has to be.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to add up, but yeah, we were just talking about how the music, well, there's the aspect of it that how many, and again, it's kind of like that MK Ultra thing, how many popular musicians of today that actually make it to the limelight, the ones that the kids get hooked on,
like the Disney people.
Yeah, like the Disney people and I mean, pretty much if you worked for Disney, if you were ever in that Disney thing, you are going to be a success. Like the people that came out of that Disney thing, like Ariana Grande was a Disney person. And I mean, she's had a meteoric career.
Hmm. Hey,
Um,
can I ask you a question? What's your take on Mariah Carey's voice? It's a totally random question, but I just came
well,
to mind.
she had so
I think it's amazing, but
Mariah Carey was really popular, when I was in college. And I remember I was on tour, and that one song that was the first song that made her famous. It kept going higher
yeah.
and higher. I can't
I
remember
know.
what the name of the song is, but so it was on in the radio, and my friend that I was roommates with or whatever on this choir tour, we were riding in this there was homestays, and that we were riding in this guy's pickup truck, and that song came on. We started singing along with her, and the guy was blown away because we were singing the high pitches. She has incredible whistle tone.
Yeah.
Most classically trained high, like coloratura sopranos, can sing that high.
Okay.
It I shouldn't say most. It's an unusual. When I don't think I could sing as high as Mariah Carey, actually.
Was
Even
she
even at my
classically
prime.
trained? Do you know?
I don't think so. I do know of some people, but I don't. I think I might have known once upon a time, but I don't remember now. But she does have this thing. It's called a whistle tone, and I've worked with singers in my studio that they struggle over the regular old high notes, and then once you get past a certain point and you're up in this ridiculous high part that's like only dogs can hear it. They find this comfort zone, and it's known as whistle tone. And
Well,
She was classically trained as an opera
Yes.
singer.
oh, okay, there you go.
She's
Good on you.
interesting because she's kind of blown the whistle on the whole handler. She's the butterfly handler type thing. She's kind of.
Mhm.
There's been a few moments in her career where breakdowns occur. Britney Spears, similar
Yeah.
breakdowns. It's kind of like we're being they're letting us know that there's more to the
Well,
story
I
there.
think a lot of them that did try to get away, they took care of, like Whitney Houston. I think
Yeah.
I think they took care of her. I think she might have wanted to blow
Mhm.
the whistle. As soon as they get into, a little
Well,
too
a
deep
lot, of, a lot of those music. I mean, we were talking about that the other day with, oh my goodness, that guy, the reggae singer. Oh my
Bob
goodness,
Marley.
who?
Bob Marley.
Yes, Bob Marley.
Oh yeah.
All his music was truthing.
Oh, that's
So
true.
much, all of his stuff was truthing. And
I agree.
you listen to his lyrics, and he's trying to tell you something, just like Michael Jackson's music was truthing toward the end.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I mean,
I
all
agree.
of these
I
people
think
who
Michael
tried to
Jackson
play
got
the
sucked
gospel.
in, and then he tried to get away, and
Yeah.
that was that they had to shut him up, and they did everything. I mean, I was a pedophile, and now I think maybe he wasn't. I think maybe that was just a scam
Oh
to.
no, that was them slapping their label on him. Is the way I look at that. I could be wrong, but
No, I think you're right. I mean,
he
I've
want, he wanted to heal the world and make it a better place.
I
So,
know.
yes,
and I believe
that's
it.
the thing. When you listen to the lyrics of the songs, you go, they're telling the truth. And the interesting thing now is that I don't think, I mean, back then, he's a really talented guy. He was, and
Oh,
you know who
yeah.
else is really a talented guy? Prince.
Yes.
I know.
Yes.
Amazing.
Really talented guy.
They both tipped us off about the history in history books,
Yeah.
which is interesting as well.
So, but now I think they can just generate, like, some of the songs that we hear. I'm just thinking,
Yeah, they're probably not even written by them. They're just
sound like they're AI.
Well, there's got to be AI involved with a lot now. There has to be.
Yeah,
I mean,
and now
the country songs have to be some of like the pop country. They're so repetitively ridiculous. It's laughable.
But they're catchy enough that people like them, so they'll keep listening to it.
Well, they
it's
know
kind of like
what.
mind control.
Yes, exactly. And that's what they're appealing to. It's not for the independent thinkers, the critical thinkers. They're appealing to the masses.
But I do think that people are starting to, like, it's there's only like I saw something. I don't know if it was on Instagram or TikTok, but it was some guy making some food, and he was starting with like McDonald's French fries, and like people were like tearing them up on the comments, like, oh, that's disgusting. It's like, I think there's only so much you can feed people before they start going, you know what? No, I don't want that anymore.
No, you're right. People are tired of it. That's why we're looking elsewhere. That's why I do what I do on my channel. I'm sure that's why you're here right now talking to me, because we want to provide other places for people to look, and we can share what we know or what we intuit.
I really want to get the different people together to talk to each other. Like I said, I have this goal to put together a big like summit with
look at that. Look at those pictures. Wow.
Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying, Steph. Yeah. Bring the content creators together. Now, I've said to you before that might be more like herding cats. It might be a difficult task.
Well, it's actually remarkable how many people have actually, if I can get in touch with them. Now, not all of them are super easy to contact, and if they're really big, you know, they're probably getting, you know, if they're really big and there's an email available to them or whatever.
Yeah. The volume is hard to keep up with.
Yeah, and they're not gonna answer everybody because they just simply can't. But
that's right. Yeah.
But on the people that I have contacted, they're super down to get. They're like, oh yeah, I'd do it. You know.
Yeah, we'll work toward it for sure. Yeah.
I think it'd be cool to well, and I myself really enjoy listening to people, you know, bounce off each other. So of course that pants on the ground guy that I'm sure I got him from you. But see, that's how valuable that is, although he doesn't have very many followers, but
no, he's doing something. He's got insight though. He's got a lot of insight.
Yeah, and the guy knows what he's doing. It's just I can tell that he probably wouldn't be for everybody. But
sure, but none of this is for everybody. Yeah, I don't really care about that.
Absolutely,
it cracked me up though, man. I was laughing so hard.
People think though, you know, the cool thing is that everything's intertwined. And from pieces of history to like old buildings to music, it's tying all the things that don't make sense to us. And why are they fighting so hard against the fact to change the narrative? Why are they trying so hard to blatantly lie in our faces about everything? Because when you walk into these buildings, you can't tell. We can't recreate this stuff. Just like we can't recreate the music.
As soon as we start questioning what they told us, then the whole control thing starts unraveling, and they don't have once. I believe that's really what, when people talk about being in a matrix, I think the matrix is staying stuck in this idea that you have to swallow everything that you're told. And the second we all start saying, wait a second, I don't have to listen to you.
Well, I think the floodgates are open, actually. I think this is the age we live in now, the age of information. Despite their attempts to censor, it's not working. I think it's like the genie's out of the bottle and you can't put it back in. So I think it's only a matter of time before we hit some sort of critical mass point. Yeah, where people are just like, no more mainstream. We're done with it. You know, we're close already, I think, and where we all just explore our own paths and share our ideas. And nobody says for sure that they're 100% correct.
We could hurry it up because, you know, people are still
patience. Hey, we've been taught patience, haven't we, over these last few years?
Oh my goodness. But it's like they're waiting for somebody to come out and be like, oh, you shouldn't eat that because it's like killing you. But you can't tell everybody.
I know. Instead, they're pulling out all the stops to fight against it. I think I think the more that there's a push to go forward, there's a push back at it because they realize that they're losing it. But I guess the thing that bugs me so much, because I'm such a person that's into like justice, I feel like when you spin out some ridiculous story, like all of the crap that would be labeled conspiracy, and you'd think that everybody would pretty much realize that we didn't, for instance, go to the moon, that somebody needs to step up and go, okay, I'm sorry, we did. That was complete garbage. we we perpetrated this hoax on y'all, and
Yeah.
because the more lies you find. If there was no information about, say, that building that I'm looking at right now, if there was no information, that would be better than the BS that they give us.
Yes. Rather than the lie, just say nothing at all.
Yeah.
You know.
You know what?
Yeah.
We don't know. There's no recorded history.
Doing
Something
things
must have happened.
like, you look at these organs, which they purposely don't want people to play now because nobody knows how to play them anymore. And why is that? Because they purposely don't want the kids going to college to play them. So they've removed them in a lot of universities. Only a handful of universities have them anymore. And only one teacher, if you're lucky, can even play it. I mean, I know I have a daughter who's like trying to take, so she wants to learn how to play the organ because they don't have enough people to play the organs anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all part of the. I think it's all part of the old world that's falling by the wayside.
Which is sad because I think it's healing frequency. I mean, why are they getting rid of these things that are so beautiful and good for the soul? We have to ask ourselves these questions. Why are buildings not made this way?
And that's what I've said too. The old world is human culture. We hold on to what we were by holding on to our culture. Music is such a large part of human culture,
And it really does unite and tell us a lot about the cultures. I mean, from all the hymnals that are, sang to, the slave.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah.
That they were told to us that they were that. But, it carries culture. It's what ties us all together. It really, truly is what unites us because beautiful music is good for the soul.
I remember that one of the conductors that I sang under is a German guy named Helmut Rilling, and he used to say that music was the thing that could bring peace to the world, and because you could cross borders of whatever enemy countries and bring a choir and orchestra in and
you don't need language.
And it seems like it's something that is in everybody except here's another genius thought by Babylon Fox. I can't help but notice, and I pick on the kids all the time, that's especially the ones that say, well, I can't sing. We are the only country, and I don't know what it's like up in Canada, but when I say we, I'm talking about the States. Do they sing in pubs up there?
Not really. This Irish definitely the Irish do.
Well, yeah. So when you're overseas, it's okay. If you're in Mexico, they sing. Everybody sings. Nobody stands in the back and says, "Oh, I don't sing." They all sing.
Yes. No, there's a shyness. Isn't there a shyness here in North America?
Yes, and I feel like it's somehow deliberate that they've like pushed down, that they've made everybody kind of self-conscious about it instead of embracing that we are musical beings. They're we don't do, and they don't teach it in one of my best friends in college came over here from Germany, and she had finished. They have a different setup than we do. They have like 12 years and then they go one more year in their gymnasium school. And so she was technically done. And so she started at the university. And I couldn't get over how much she already knew about, she could read music and she could play music and she understood she knew all about the composers and all the, for her, the general ed music classes that we had to take were a walk in the park because she already knew everything. They don't give that to us. Most little kids don't even, they don't even sing row, row, row your boat anymore. No.
There's an embarrassment though. There's like, they're shy. There's a self-consciousness that gets implanted into us in this culture.
Right. And what is up with that? Because like I said, when I was especially in England, like you say, the Irish, in Northern, they just burst into song. It's crazy.
Oh yeah.
And speaking
that's
of
a part of culture, right?
Is that pants on the ground guy? Is he Canadian? Did you say?
No, he's Minnesota. He's in Minnesota.
Oh, I thought that was my second guess. I said either northern Minnesota or Canadian because he's like A. He says A all the time. He's a funny guy. Yeah. But yeah, I was like, that's something that's specific to, I mean, it does feel like North America. I mean, it seems like y'all up there have turned communist. It's really,
Yeah. Well, I am. Every morning I have to recite the mantra of I joke, but my kids are being made to say ridiculous things, and it's really amazing how in only a handful of years the Canada flag has become, in some ways, some people consider it to be a hate symbol.
yeah,
But
yeah,
we also have that patriot split too. We've got patriots rising here too, very conscious people that are aware of what's gone on and have gotten very patriotic about family and community and country.
yeah. It's definitely like, I mean, I I have a flag out front at my house, but I don't think if I had put that up in Arizona, it's almost like a dirty symbol. It's like,
You're talking about the American flag, stars and
yeah,
stripes.
yeah, yep.
Yeah.
It's definitely not.
I thought Arizona was a red state.
I think they're all red states, but
Okay,
that's
no,
not
sorry,
the
we can't
point.
go there either. No, we can't go there for
Sorry.
YouTube. YouTube will put the hammer down on me, so we'll leave that one alone.
Okay. No, it's it's the prevailing wind, It's just it doesn't matter what the bulk of people think. The majority of people may think one way, but yeah,
It's the juggernaut of pop culture, isn't it? We need to dispense with it, I think.
Oh, we need to get rid of the pop culture. Yeah.
It's
Let's
But-
go back
but
to classical music.
but it's impossible because of the push from the devices,
Yeah, from the controllers,
Yes.
the devices. That's right. Absolutely.
it's part of the control grid.
It's not music. It's not music anymore. It's so insane. It's like when we were talking about that song that became so big.
And the driver's license.
The
Yeah.
driver's license song. Like, really? That there was nothing beautiful about that. And every kid wanted to sing it.
I know. It's such a weird thing because it wasn't even a good song.
It was ridiculously like boring, and it was the same thing repeated over and over again. And nothing about the song was good. It was just catchy. It is it's the devices like controlling what our children think and play. And
so we have to make a conscious effort really to depart from that, don't we? We have to de-digitalize.
But I think the only way, I don't really think the only way that that's going to happen is to get the kids out of the school. I've become a kind of a rabid anti-schooling person. It's so funny what's happened to me over the past 3 years, because I used to be like, go to school. I mean, I was working on a doctorate when I started. I was all bought into the whole education thing, and I taught school. I was, but the whole notion of
teach people to question the narrative. I mean, you can go to school, but you should question what you're being taught, right?
But like what Gato was saying is that, like, even with, so how would something become so incredibly popular? Well, it's the public school has taught children now for decades. I mean, none of us got through it completely unscathed. You couldn't just walk into school wearing whatever you want to wear. You have to wear what's the prescribed style. You have to wear what brand is trending right now. And I mean, and that was true even when I was in high school, and it's gotten way worse.
And you can fit one of several molds too, couldn't you? You could fit the jock mold, or you could fit a grunge mold if you're in a certain time period, or I think they have goth.
Right, prep, goth.
Right. These are all like, they're still are pushed, these niches, and you have to find your niche, but it's only one of 5 niches. You can't be undefinable. You have to be definable in some way.
And but in the product thing though, like, kids expect, I mean, I remember thinking about how one of the babysitter kids that worked for me wanted something. She was going to ask her mom, and her mom was a single mom. And I thought, how can you even ask her for that? Like, I wanted ice skates. Buy my own ice skates, and I was only like 11. So, I mean, they expect these things, and they're super duper expensive, like, and especially recently, since everything's become so expensive. But like they have to have the $150 Doc Martens because that's what makes you fit in and be okay in school.
Yeah.
Because media has determined what needs to be popular and creative, and that the TikToking and social media is controlling what they think they have to have.
But it's this idea of sameness and the like I said, the school of fish, that we're all the same and we're all moving in the same direction. We're all going exactly. I mean, what happened to? I remember when I was a kid, there were bumper stickers that said "Question Authority." I mean, where did that go?
Well, it used to be Rage Against the Machine. Now you Rage for the Machine.
Yeah,
There's a lot of memes like that, right?
It seems as though that they've actually been able to accomplish in a large degree what they were, and it's kind of disheartening. I don't know. I mean, like I said, the getting more people on board and through the music. I don't know if you heard that recent Whisperjack just put up a few songs.
Yeah.
And well, I played the one that you put on your show when you had him on.
The doo-wop one?
That sounds kind of like it's like an old 60s song or something.
Yeah, like a doo-wop style. Is that what?
Yeah, I played that for Chloe. She loved it.
It's so good. It's a very good song.
It's so good. And then he's done a couple of other ones. He did one called Weepy or something. And
He does an obelisk one too. It's pretty good.
It's really, oh yes. Oh my gosh, I want to go and there's so many obelisks in the graveyard right by me. I want to go take pictures of them and then see the age. That's a whole nother look at that ceiling. Holy crap.
I know.
Let me go back. Okay, there it is. This is in Denmark. Frederiksborg Castle in Denmark.
Wow.
It is
Not
incredible.
been to Denmark.
Don't you want to sing in that, Stevie?
Oh. Yeah. Well, what I was talking about in the recording studio, where they have these little bits of wood and they stick out at different at different depths and everything. So you think every single piece of whatever's on there is another, little soundboard.
Yeah,
and
very good. Yes.
Must sweeten the sound to have all those surfaces, and I'll bet every bit of material that has been put in there was deliberately put in there because of its acoustic. Look at the chairs, how stupid they look.
Right, again. Yeah. I know. I think the other end of this hall is the pipe organ. I think the reverse end of what we're looking at here is the massive pipe organ. I might have it in this file, but I'm not sure.
It's beautiful.
It's amazing, right? And it's old
Did
world,
you save any? So do you remember the picture I sent you from that cathedral up at Sewanee? That's freaking
probably
crazy.
It's probably on my upstairs computer. I don't know if I brought it down yet.
That is, and you look one way, and it's interesting because they do have a certain symmetry to them. You look one way and it's the organ, the other way it's the big cymatic window. And that's interesting too, where a lot of the older churches, they've taken the leaded glass out.
Yeah, why is that?
And replaced it with those cheesy. They put in the glass with these pictures, but it's not the original leaded glass.
Interesting. Yeah, that makes sense if you're trying to dampen the harmonics, right? Look at this one. Look at this pipe organ. I know.
It's insane. Oh, speaking of insane, did I send you the picture of that one crazy asylum that has an organ in the music room?
Probably.
It was.
I'm one of those big YouTubers that can't keep track of it. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not that big.
Well, I mean, if I had my act together in any small way, I would put stuff together and show it myself. But I just rely on y'all to do it.
Well, I'll start putting the file together, and we'll do another show.
Well, yeah, you know what I really wanted to do, because and I mean, you've done it with the courthouses and things, but I think the thing that is so fascinating, well, of course, Lunch Break said today he did the population thing. So I started a spreadsheet, and the one guy, do you have children playing in the background?
There's about 5 boys under the age of 10 upstairs playing, so sorry about that.
That's awesome. I love that. I love a good bunch of screaming banshees. They're train of thought. Where was I? Um,
That's okay. It'll come.
the the
The courthouse thing.
yeah, but different thing. The so
Oh yeah.
when Gato was talking about when schooling started, see, this has got to be another because Stephanie's way into the whole education thing. So so he talks about look at that. See, that's got to be wood, isn't that wood?
Yeah, this is the Paramount Theater in Brooklyn. Is now it's a basketball court.
Unbelievable. Can you imagine playing basketball in there? It's almost sacrilegious. You know, I mean, like,
I'd play. I'd play in there.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
like,
yeah, it's ridiculous. You can cut it off right here. You know, like
it's just so amazing. And like, do these? And they're in there, you know, playing their sports ball. Are they even noticing what they're in?
They're not even
totally oblivious. These guys.
Yeah,
totally oblivious. Yeah.
But the
except for Kyrie
schools Irving. Stephanie and I were talking about this. The schools that are these Castle schools, you've got a ton of them on your different places. So they just have to be. All the schools need to be extracted from the different cities and put together as a group.
All the universities. They've been
Castle schools.
Mm-hmm.
So I know one. The universities in this state that I'm currently in, there are over 1,700. Are you kidding me? There aren't enough people to even. It's just a reason to use up a building. They have to assign
1,700 universities
to it.
In Tennessee.
1,700 colleges and universities in this tiny state.
That's crazy.
It's not that tiny, but can you believe that? And then when we were talking about the high schools, in the 1800s, people weren't sending their children to public school. That wasn't a thing yet.
No, yeah, you're right.
It didn't even happen until after that. So these schools that say that they were like so much of on your content, it's like, well, this was built in blah, blah, blah. It's the such and such school. It's like, no, it's not. Who went there? Who graduated from there? Show me the graduating class.
It's for the orphans, right? It was for the orphans.
It's a crock. And they just, it's like, oh, we'll make this into a high school. This is a high school. And they don't even look, it insults my intelligence that they don't even bother to like maybe look back and see what the history was. It's like, no, according to, well, actually, like this is real information. My ex-father-in-law went to school in Pennsylvania in a one-room schoolhouse. He wasn't that old.
Was it a castle? A one-room castle?
No, it was just a little
it was massive.
It was just a little wood schoolhouse. But my point is the time frame. I mean, he was probably in elementary school in the 50s of 1950s. So what are they telling us that really in the 1800s, in the middle of nowhere, there was this castle school? Give me a break.
Okay, so this has been Stephanie and Stephanie looking at music, old world and new. Stephanie and Stephanie, thank you for being here. I look forward to our next adventure.
Yay.
Yay.